Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Amanda Ellis, and a very warm welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to take a look at the energy around the fires in LA, in USA, that have been happening recently and are still ongoing. I believe as I'm doing this session today, there are new alerts and concerns over high winds and potential fires to come over the next few days. Let's hope that we can help reduce the likelihood of that by our positive intention and our balance more than anything else during these times. It is balance that we need to be demonstrating throughout the years to come, and it's balance and love that's going to help heal our world and each other. I have sat for a few days wondering how to respond to this situation, and some of you might have seen the community post that I put up a few days ago, where I really just shared some very heartfelt sentiment and knowingness more than anything within myself, that I feel as though as a spiritual community, for us to spend all of our time just focusing on the problems and reading on the problems isn't actually getting us to a place where we are being of optimum help and support to the people that need it at ground level. So I feel as though the focus here should be, how do we serve? What can we learn from these awful experiences? What can we do about it? And obviously taking a higher perspective look, because what's happening in LA and the fires, of course, is not completely isolated to that area. There are other countries and places on our earth that are experiencing wildfires. And actually, more than anything, my guide, Archangel Metatron, is asking us to also consider not just those areas where there is fire, but also the areas where there is flood. So the two F's, basically, fire and flood. And I have spoken in the past, over the years really, about Mother Earth and how we need to nurture her and look after her, and that if we don't, that we're on a collision course really. And part of my message today is going to be linked to that, the need for us to take seriously the land upon which we live, to care for it, to nurture it, to make sure that the resources there are in balance. That will include enough water, for example, to put out any potential fires, doing what is needed in bushland, forest land, to make sure that there is enough clearance so that fire can't just spread as quickly as we've seen it spread throughout parts of LA. But we'll come back to that later. I would like to, before I get going, just send out my sincere condolences to anybody that has lost their property, their livelihood, their towns, their community. Although remember that community is actually about the people, and community actually rises more strongly than ever during times of calamity and crisis. It's a shame that it takes that sometimes for us to come together, but it is the truth. But yes, anybody that's lost anything, anyone, to the animals that have been lost also, to the wildlife, to the vegetation. It's just a truly upsetting, devastating time. And living as I do in the UK, where we don't experience this level of fire in any shape or form, I can't imagine what you're going through, but my heart absolutely goes out to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to call on the guides, Archangel Metatron, who is here. We're going to also be channeling the energies of Mother Earth via the elements herself or itself. I'm going to pull some runes to start with. I've got some cards that I already pulled last night on this, and we'll just get going. The comments may be off on this video. If I have done so, it's because I want us to be sitting with the messages from Spirit rather than taking just a knee-jerk reaction maybe to something that I've said or something that I've got wrong in this video. I also feel as though, as a spiritual community, as I say, I think we're sometimes via readings wallowing in the problem rather than trying to get to the solution. And I'm all about solutions and helping people to come together and bring in healing, guidance and light. So that's what we're going to do. I think I'll start with the cards from yesterday. And in many ways, they back up what I believe Spirit is asking of me, but also of you. And actually, I feel of the wider spiritual community as well. So we have here the cards of contemplation and truth are the first two that come up. Contemplation and truth. So there are many truths out there. There are many people that feel as though they know the truth with regards to the fires and how they started. There are a number of different theories. I'm sure that if you're on social media, you've probably heard all of them over the last week. And I'm not going to reiterate what they all are now. Some of them more extreme, some would regard as extreme, some wouldn't, some more commonplace. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. But we've also got the cards of acceptance with contemplation. So it feels very much as though it's an energy of Spirit asking us to go within, to find our own truth within this situation. But as I say, not just this situation, really with regards to any natural disaster or any of the things that are playing out right now in our world, which are resulting in us going into complete separation and division and polarization, which is that I know the truth of what is going on here, you don't know the truth, and both sides basically playing ping pong back and forth with regards to words. Now, one passage actually from the New Testament that I was reminded of by Jesus this week was Corinthians 13. I think it's Corinthians 13. It's that passage about love. And it talks about the fact that speech without love is like clanging cymbals or clanging gongs. Excuse me if I've got that wrong, I'm just going from memory, but you get the gist of it, which is that we're all shouting at each other. Both camps are shouting at each other in terms of I'm right, you're wrong. And worse, with regards to certain channels on social media, we're getting these echo chambers where the leader comes forth, gives their prognosis in terms of what they think has happened with regards to any particular situation. And then there is just mass agreement in all the comments, and it's not really getting us anywhere, because there's another video out there, there's another teacher who has just as many followers, who's maybe saying the complete opposite, and all of their followers are agreeing with that. So ultimately, I feel these cards of contemplation, truth and acceptance is getting to a place where we start to understand that if we can truly start to listen to each other, we might actually get somewhere. And there might be some truth in what this camp is saying, and there also is going to be some truth in what this camp is saying as well. We need to be building that bridge. And when we do build that bridge and get to a place of acceptance with each other, we get to encounter. Encounter here, we've got the butterflies. It feels as though it links into the energy of miracle. It also reminds me of the card of resurrection and rebirth from the Christ Consciousness deck. Those of you that have got my Christ Consciousness deck know that the way that we depicted it in the deck, let me just get it for you, was via the energy of trees and light coming through the trees. So we get to this rebirth moment and resurrection moment where we come together. Okay, so those were yesterday's cards. Also I got the card of creation. So creation comes from building bridges between two opposing camps, two opposing narratives, two opposing arguments, because ultimately, whichever side you're on, you're left with the mess in the middle that needs attending to, that needs healing, and that, I believe, is the end. And then we get into the energy of how may I serve. We're not actually serving God or greater spirit or the angels or our higher self just by arguing all the time with each other and getting entrenched in our camps. I know it's difficult, guys. We all can be like that at times. I myself can be as well, but I'm being asked to just try to remind us of how may I serve in any moment. And I will say actually at this point that I won't name the friend I have, but I do have a friend who lives in LA, who I believe at the moment has still kept her home. Her home hasn't been affected, but the fires are pretty close. She's not a firefighter. She's what do they call it? Rescue. You know, when they go into the mountains and rescue people. She works in that area. So I'm also very mindful of. And I think we all should be mindful. I think we all have a responsibility to not be a clanging cymbal, as Jesus said, to not make discordant noise that isn't going to actually bring peace. Because unless you live literally where these things are happening, whether it's LA, whether tomorrow it's something happening in Thailand or the UK or Germany, unless you're there seeing it with your actual eyes, it's very hard for anybody to truthfully know what's going on, because we live in a time of fog, of illusion, of deliberate manipulation, of bluff and counter bluff, and in a world of social media which is just screwing a lot of our minds, I would say all of our minds to a degree. So, again, I'm just very mindful of my friend there actually rescuing at the moment and helping at ground level, and turn to people who've actually got eyewitness accounts of what's going on. But even on social media, I think you've got to watch that, because sometimes people might not be who they say they are or where they are. Anyhow, a couple more cards before we pull a rune on this. Interesting. We are, these fires have happened pretty much at the start, obviously, of 2025. Those of you that watched my global predictions video know that I pulled out the fact that 2025 is a 9 numerological year. I said it was linked into the energy of fire, the fire element, and also the energy of Mars. So very warlike, but very volatile, and very fiery. And then literally, as I say, a few weeks in, we've got these devastating fires. Now, a card I pulled this morning from the Stephen Farmer deck is this one, which is the card of volcano. Okay. And of course, there we've got the hot lava, the hot, fiery energy. But it's more the word on this card, volatility. I feel as though one of the things that we are needing to learn as a species, and this applies to all of us, wherever we are, whether we're witnessing the devastation of what's going on in LA and thinking there, but for the grace of God, go I, and realizing that that could be our home, another town, another place, another time, another set of circumstances, that could be us, or whether we're actually there, living through the horrors and the devastation that follow. This energy of volatility, we're in a volatile world. We like to think that we're in an environment which is never changing. Think about yourself and how reluctant often you are to change. I know myself that I have that energy within me. I find it difficult to change sometimes. Well, less with regards to business, but more personally, I find it more tricky. And, you know, we're in times of volatility where we're being forced to change. Mother Earth is getting us into a breach position, whether we like it or not, okay? So it's the thing about adaptability and survivability, that the ones who survive are the most adaptable. And so there's lessons to learn from the fire here. The card of volatility also came out with the card of the green man, and this is linked into synergy. So I actually went and got my green man painting, which is quite old. I've had it quite a number of years. And it's interesting, over the years, whenever I've put this painting up, sometimes it's received some negativity. And to me, that's interesting. And it's not to do with the painting. You might not be able to see it very well, but, you know, at the top, he's got laurel leaves. I think it's laurel, certainly leaves anyway. And the way that Jane has painted it, there are swirls of green going upward and downward. And some people interpret the upward swirls of green as the fact that he has to have horns on his head, so it's like a devil energy. And in many ways, it shows how disconnected often we are from the land, from Mother Earth. And again, I think this is part of the lesson that we're needing to learn here, which is the disconnect from the land. LA, of course, made up of many different types of people, many different incomes, very aware it's not just celebrities that have been affected by these fires, who have lost their mansions or second homes or third homes. It's also just everyday people trying to build a living. But equally, the land there in LA is synonymous with Hollywood, is synonymous with celebrity culture. And again, another one of my predictions from my 2025 video was I was talking about, I'm not the only one saying it by any stretch, of course, but it's the fall of celebrity. And, you know, the purge which has happened in some of these places, and whether the fires actually reach Hollywood itself or not remains to be seen. But what I'm being shown by Metatron is Hollywood as a centre of darkness, and quite frankly, evil. There's a lot of darkness there, which most of you watching me know. So imagine that as a tree. Okay, so I don't even want to say it as a tree because it's almost like a tree is such a beautiful thing, but I'm being shown it as a tree, but it's like it's rotten to the core. But it's as though the tendrils, the roots, go far out into the surrounding land. So you might be, 50 miles from Hollywood. You might be 100 miles from Hollywood. I don't know what the geography of these places is that have caught fire. But it's as though the roots and the energy from Hollywood are reached there. So it might feel clean and pure and great, but actually there is a contamination there. So it's almost as though the rot, the Hollywood rot, is being taken out from the root first. And of course, when you take something out from the root first, the whole thing eventually topples. So it feels crass and opportunistic to sort of say that, these fires are just a result of a purge of the whole darkness and evil that surrounds Hollywood. It is true, but it's only one aspect of it. It goes also much deeper than that. Okay, but yeah, this card, this Green Man card, Synergy, I actually feel as though I'd quite like to read what Stephen Farmer wrote about the Green Man and Synergy, because it feels as though we need to refresh our memory on that. Let's just see what he says, and then I'm going to pull a few more cards from this deck. So it says, Green Man is Earth's vegetation personified. Although he has many variations. Okay, just hold on a minute before I go even further. Some of you who've been with me a long time might have gone to a couple of my workshops in the past. Haven't run them for an awfully long time. I've still got the manuals over there. I want to get it into an online course, and probably this is the year it really needs to happen. But I've done courses on the elements. And what I always try to teach is that we are the elements. So this is what Stephen's just said. Green man is Earth's vegetation personified. If we imagined that we are not just made of blood and water and everything else, skin and hair and bone, we're also made of fire. We're also made of water. We're also made of earth. We're also made of air. We are the elements. We are also the cosmos. And if we were able to try to get balance between if we try to correct the imbalance within ourselves with regards to these elements. So, for example, the water element, we see that when we cry, don't we? We see that when maybe we get a urinary infection. With fire, we can get it, disturbances linked into having no motivation, being lethargic, or maybe being completely, oversexed or overstimulated when it's gone too much the other way. Earth energy, maybe we're too rooted to the spot. We're reluctant to just change or evolve or move in any way. We're stuck in the mud. You've heard that expression, we're stuck in the mud. We have a stuck mindset. It can also be an imbalance of earth, can be linked into, a reluctance to go there in terms of spiritual ideas and beliefs. We are just here, we're material bodies, just keep getting up, having your meal, go to bed. It's just very mundane. There's a blockage with regards to the esoteric that can illuminate the human condition. With regards to air, the fact that, I've talked about this over the last 4 years, really, with regards to the pandemic, the energy of not being able to breathe, not being able to breathe. That's often where the illness sort of personified itself here with regards to the lungs. Lack of air, lack of quality of the air, what's going on in the skies. All of this type of thing, but also the fact that we don't breathe properly. We shallow breathe a lot of the time because we're stressed and we're anxious. We're not taking bellyfuls of air which can sustain us. We're imbalanced with our air element. So when you become aware of the element within you that is imbalanced, you're not just helping yourself and healing yourself, you're also correcting the imbalance that's out there in the world that can trigger the wildfire, that can trigger the flood, that can trigger the dryness, that can trigger any of the elements to be out of balance. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the only reason, for example, the fire started. That's not what I'm saying, because I also feel as though there was gross mismanagement of the land, of Gaia, basically, of protecting her, of looking after her. But it's like anything, that would always be a bad scenario. It would always be a bad scenario to not have enough, firefighters or enough water on standby, or to not have properly, cut down trees and vegetation to create the breaks, etc. But it would always be a bad scenario, but it's an absolute recipe for disaster if you've also got a collective that has an imbalance of fire also. And look at somewhere like LA. Again, I know it's an assortment of all sorts of people, but a lot of people will go somewhere like that because they want the adventure. They need that very masculine, fiery energy, which is to do with motivation and success and money and power. And when it gets out of balance, we have literally the spark that ignites the flame. So this is complex. So anyway, let's go back to the card. So Stephen is just describing who the green man is then. He is this personification of earth. He resembles the face of a man covered in green. Branches and vines sprout from every direction. It says, as a representative of the plant kingdom, Green Man reminds us of the incredible synergy required for Gaia to maintain her delicate and dynamic balance. That word delicate, it is a delicate balance. And to be honest, I'm hearing that we have been playing with fire. Okay, we've literally been playing with fire. Now that might be manifesting physically in people actually starting the fires, and I'm definitely picking that up as well. I know it's in the media, but I'm picking it up as well, and I'll come back to that in a moment, as again another factor that is triggering all of this. But we are also playing with fire as a collective because we are not addressing the imbalances within ourselves. So at micro level there is an imbalance, and it's then affecting the macro. But yes, so the delicate balance of the delicate and dynamic balance among the various beings on the planet. Synergy is the interaction and cooperation of two or more elements that produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate efforts. We witness this in the complex and cooperative interaction between plants, humans, and animals. For instance, fruit trees propagate by being eaten by an animal and then deposits it back into the earth after digestion. As a new plant grows, bees pollinate the flowers and the cycle begins once again. So I'm hearing the rape of the land. It's as though there is a rape of the land taking place. And what I'm being shown in my mind's eye here, and I've never been to LA, so I've no idea what these areas look like, but I'm just being shown the overbuilding. I'm being shown the, just the overbuilding, the overbuilding. It's interesting. It's almost as though what I'm being shown is that the land in any one place has a certain quotient of people that it can sustain until it tips into imbalance. And this is to do with the human being upon the land, the emotions that they hold, okay? The fact that we don't appreciate how we are, what our frequency is, how our emotions are, how we basically are as a human being, impacts the land upon which we live. And that Mother Earth then either has to support us and build us up and help us, or if we're in a really good state, of course, spiritually high frequency, healthy physically, we can be giving to her, okay? But at the moment it feels as though there is just this, I'm hearing this rape of the land, and I don't think this is just LA, I think this is many different places. So I'm hearing town planners, it's as though those that have been building places have been overbuilding, not enough resource for the people that are there. So that's what I'm getting with that Green Man card. Okay, let's pull a rune, I think, at this point. So if you follow me, that I don't know my runes that well, so I have to read from a book. I'm learning the runes, although I'm learning them extremely slowly, it has to be said. But let's just see which rune wants to come and give us some wisdom with regards to Mother Earth and these fires. So, LA, fires, Mother Earth. What is there to say, please? I knew that was going to come up. Okay, you've seen me pull this before, and I think last time I said that I thought it was a mistake because there's nothing on it. It's the blank rune. Oh God, sorry. It's the blank rune, and it says unknowable. So let's go to page 25. It's the unknowable rune, blank. So blank is the end, blank the beginning. This is the rune of total trust and should be taken as exciting evidence of your most immediate contact with your own true destiny, which time and again rises like the phoenix from the ashes of what we call fate. The appearance of this rune can portend a death, but that death is usually symbolic and may relate to any part of your life as you're living it now. Here, the unknowable informs you that it is in motion in your life. In that blankness is held undiluted potential. At the same time, both pregnant and empty, this rune comprehends the totality of being, all that is actualized. So let's just go back a couple of steps before I read on. So it's the end and it's the beginning, the alpha and the omega. It's about trust. It is about death, and obviously there has been death and decay. It talks about the phoenix that will rise from the ashes. But it also is about potential. So the phoenix is about potential. What can be rebuilt from the ashes? But as I say, I realise as I'm saying that the land is still on fire. So it's premature to maybe for some to hear that. But equally, hope is important, even in the darkest hour. Drawing the blank rune may bring to the surface our deepest fears. Will I fail? Will I be abandoned? Will it all be taken away? Wow. I mean, yes, for some people, it has all been taken away. A home that has been built up over decades with memories has been taken away. Do I feel abandoned? I'm sure many do. Will I be taken care of? My deepest fears maybe having come true. And yet, in all of this, our highest good, our truest possibilities, and all our fertile dreams are held within that blankness. A film that I often quote on this channel, and I'm hearing again now Spirit say, is Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. And it feels as though, yes, this is a time when for imagination, manifestation, it feels as though the new will be built with Spirit's help. Sorry, that sun is blinding me a little bit, so I'm actually going to just pause the camera. Hold on. Don't like shutting the sunlight out, but needs must. So let's carry on. So yes, it's about our fears. It says willingness and permitting are what this rune requires. So willingness is about having to let go and relinquish control. And it says relinquishing control is the ultimate challenge for the spiritual warrior. Is that not the truth? So to have everything taken away and nothing left, I'm sure you obviously don't feel as though you are in control. But from that place, the warrior rises that can take charge together. The blank rune often calls for no less an act of courage than an empty-handed leap into the void. Drawing it is a direct test of faith. It says the unknowable represents the path of karma, the sum total of your actions and their consequences, the lessons that are yours for this lifetime. And yet this rune teaches that the very debts of old karma shift and evolve as you shift and evolve. Nothing is predestined. What beckons is the creative power of the unknown. This thing about karma, I don't feel as though Spirit is saying here, well, you know, you've all, people that have been affected, you've all somehow deserved this because it's some sort of karmic payback. I don't believe that. I do believe that the wrongdoing upon the land there, the evil that has been allowed there and has been turned a blind eye to, there is a coming moment of reckoning, is how Metatron is putting it, okay? But the truth is also that sometimes we can turn a blind eye to what is going on in our neighbourhood because, I don't know, there's a pretty sunset or there's a nice hill to climb or there's a nice house to buy in a particular area. That might not be a particularly popular thing to say, but there's something about people being attracted to particular places for a particular reason. Why, let's take it away from LA because it feels quite personal, but let's just, for anywhere in the world, why are you particularly attracted to a particular country? And I'm talking at soul level, why was your soul attracted to be American? Why was your soul attracted to be African in this lifetime? Why was your soul attracted to be British in this lifetime? Why was your soul attracted to be Russian in this lifetime, or Chinese, or North Korean, or anything else? Because yes, there is a choice. At soul level, there is a choice. You incarnate, you choose your country, your parents, and some of the circumstances that are fated that will happen in your life, although free will is also interweaving through all of it as well. So places of residence where we're attracted to somewhere, sometimes there is some past karma there, not necessarily from this lifetime, from other lifetimes. It might be something that you're completely and utterly unaware of, but we're all attracted like a bee to a honeypot to certain places. And more than anything, I think this rune, though, the unknown, is really just saying that whatever has arisen, the result is this is a test of complete faith, of complete trust. And what did it say here about taking an empty-handed leap into the void? It's not even taking, the card, the Fool card, and you see the Fool, and normally he's stepping off the cliff into the unknown. It's symbolic of stepping into the unknown. And he has a backpack on, doesn't he? I don't know if I can find him in the deck. I've got in front of me. He has a backpack on. Here we go. Yeah, he's usually has a backpack on. He's certainly got this in this depiction from the After Tarot. He's even got a flower that he's holding. Okay, so he's smelling a flower. He's dressed in a nice robe. He's got boots on his feet. I would imagine that maybe he had some money in his pockets, but it's still brave. He's still taken a leap of faith. But the rune of this rune is actually saying this is taking a leap of faith, having nothing, not even having the clothes on your back. Okay, having nothing. And this is what happened in the fire, is it not? People just had to leave with nothing. So, very interesting rune there. I will just now show, I'm going to pull some more cards live, as it were, but just for my interest, yesterday I pulled a couple of cards from the tarot, and I didn't want to direct it too much in terms of asking specific questions, because I do feel we need to now be in the energy of just, what am I meant to learn from this spirit? What does spirit wish to say about this? Rather than the human ego always being about, is it this, is it that? Are they a baddie? Are they a goodie? All this type of stuff. So I just said, what do we need to know? And it was really interesting because I can't remember a time when I've got 3 pages come up, one after the other. I got the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, and the Page of Swords. Now, pages are, the youngsters of the suit. They're not knights. They're certainly not kings. They're pages. They're young. So we've got 3 depictions of youth. Now, the first thing that I heard when I pulled the 3 pages was I felt they were the three fires. I felt that they were small fires that started off small, that then became enormous. Now, I haven't looked at the news in terms of, I'm sure they are trying to track back now in terms of where did the fires actually start. Whether they're correct in terms of what they are deducing or not, I don't know, because remember, bluff and counter bluff, and people will also be trying to cover their own backsides if someone hasn't done something they should have done. So really, this is what I'm saying, back to these cards at the start. You have to be going into a place of contemplation with regards to, what do I feel is true here? And you're probably going to be getting some of it. You're not going to be getting all of it. And the person over there that's saying, I know exactly what happened, you know, and this is what it is. And no, they don't know either, okay? No one knows anything, really. You're a human being, you're flawed like all of us are, myself included, of course, always include myself in that. So remember that, you know, just to take with a pinch of salt everything that you are hearing right now. But yeah, I got the 3 pages. So I interpreted that as 3 small fires that became greater. It also led me to think about 3 people. I mean, I'm sure it's more than 3 people, but there's people on the cards, okay? There's people on the cards. Asking the question of spirit, what is there to say about the fires? We get people. Now, this might be there's 3 people particularly responsible. Some people might say that's the governor, Gavin Newsom, the mayor, I can't remember her name. Sorry, I just don't have her name to hand. And one other person, maybe, I don't know, electrical companies or water companies. I really don't know. But it's 3 organisations, 3 people. Interestingly, of course, in the tarot, the 3 of... I can't remember which card it is I've got in my mind's eye. I'm seeing the card which is all about coming together. 3 of Pentacles is what I'm seeing, which is when people come together and work together for a common good and higher purpose, and they create something really good. We haven't got this here. We've got 3 people who are doing their own thing. You know, this guy's wielding a sword. This guy's trying to keep the water in a cup with the fish falling out. This guy's got money in his hand and he's who to give it to, all of this type of stuff. That none of them are looking at each other. None of them are looking at each other. They're all looking, they're not working together. This is not 3 of Pentacles energy. So again, another thing, another lesson from all of this is that going forward, we have to have governance where people work together. People work together. And I'm hearing Metatron say the right people work together as well. And I'm being shown now there's going to be quite a bum fight, really, or bun fight, not bum fight, bun fight, jostling for position with regards to who does lead the fight back, basically. I can't believe that Gavin Newsom will survive this, but he's a bit slippery. I've read on him once and I didn't trust him at all. And that's got nothing to do with his politics, just did not like the look of his energy at all. If anybody can slither his way out of this one, it probably is him. And we are in the year of the snake, the wood snake. So snakes have a way of being able to survive, even if you know, cut them in half or whatever this is. I don't know what their properties, that they just have a way of being able to survive. So I don't know. I don't want to get into Gavin Newsom's energy here. Maybe we'll do that another time. Let's just stick to other stuff that's going to help, be more of help, because ultimately, even if you want him out, he will get out when there is a better alternative and when the people demand it. So right, what to do now? Let's just use the earth spray. Do I start with the earth spray? I think I do. Well, I don't know if you just saw, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing on camera. I said let's start with the earth spray, but I went to this one. This is the fire element. The fire element. And this says action. Okay, so let's just see if we can channel the energy of, I was going to say the fire, but fires, isn't it? The fires. I'm hearing the word firecracker to start with. I don't know what that means. I mean, in my world, I seem to think back it's referring to like, not like a firework, but, you know, something like a firework that you throw and that can ignite and makes a popping noise. And so I'm hearing firecracker. I'm being shown a dragon's energy. But this isn't a particularly friendly dragon. It looks, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with the Chinese here, but I'm just saying that it looks like a Chinese fire dragon. It looks like, if you go up, the Chinese New Year, and they have the celebrations, and they have the Chinese dragon, and there's loads of people underneath the dragon's costume, and it's really large, and it sort of snakes through the cities and the towns, and it's red and all the rest of it. It's got a ferocious face. That's what I'm seeing here. But I'm also, for some reason, I'm just hearing the crackle and the sound of the fire, which I'm sure if you've lived through, you don't want to have to remember. But for me, I'm just hearing the sound, and I'm really just feeling the crackle. So the crackle and the dexterity of it, its ability to be able to move in any direction. Now, the question is this dragon guided in any way? And I do feel to a degree, yes, it is. The question is it being guided by an external force, or is it following somehow the lines and the grid lines of Earth? And of the two options, the one I'm feeling is the latter one. I know there are, theories out there that, this is weaponized and that's what caused the fires. I am not feeling that as strongly as what I'm about to say here, which is that the element of fire, once brought to life by a firecracker, by an intentional lighting of fire, aided by the mismanagement of the forests and the lack of resource and water and the air, of course, that whipped up, it's as though the fire is a living, breathing animal in its own right. It has a consciousness. The fire has a consciousness. All of the elements have a consciousness, but the consciousness of this fire feels very, I want to say devil-like. It's as though it's ripping through the land. It's flowing through the ley lines or through the grid lines. And it's as though its back's against the wall, so it's coming out for revenge, is what I'm feeling. It's as though it knows that its days are numbered, and by that I'm talking about darkness generally and evil, and it's fighting back. Now, the sad truth is that in places such as Hollywood, they pay homage to the devil. Not everybody, of course, but there are people that do, and you know that. Watching me, you're an astute audience. They pay homage to the devil, they feed the devil, they do rituals to the devil, they exalt the devil. And so they feed it. I'm seeing it being fed in this, it's like a fiery pit. And all it takes to unleash it is a particular set of circumstances. And I'm being shown like an old-fashioned, what do they call, coin machine. When you pull the arm down on a coin machine and you come up with 3 cherries or 3 lemons or 3 strawberries or whatever, you've only got to get a certain number of cherries in a row or apples in a row, which indicate a certain set of circumstances. And then it's as though this fiery creature is just unleashed from the pit. And it's aided by people on the ground who can also do its work as well, is what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling. Quite like to pull a card just for the energy of this fire now. So let's do that. And let's go to a conventional tarot deck, actually. So remember that underneath anything dark, there exists light. Within the darkest energy, there is also a core of love, because everything in this universe actually is love. It's just that it can take a turn away from that. So the energy of the fires in LA, we've got the energy of the 9 of Pentacles, which is a woman in a garden. She's tending to grapes, and I'm drawn to the grapes, alcohol, wine. Now, normally the 9 of Pentacles would be a good card. So I'll show it to you in a moment. I just need to channel this. It would be a good card. It shows, oh God. Okay, so what I'm feeling now is it shows there's a lot of work gone into creating this set of circumstances. You see, we don't like to feel, you know, it raises the question, my friends, is the mismanagement intentional or not? And the answer to that is the Hermit. Spirit keep wanting us to go back to, we've got the Three of Cups here as well, working together. Sorry, what am I trying to say here? We've got the Hermit, and we started off with the card of contemplation and truth. Detective work. Is it mismanagement? Just people out of their league, people incompetent who probably shouldn't have been placed in the positions of power that they're in, who just don't know what they're doing, basically, you know, out of their league? Or have they been placed there because they are out of their league so they can be easily manipulated? Or has it been deliberately done? And that leads us, I know, into a different scenario. But I'm just going to put that on the table at this point as well. Okay, I'm just going to put this on the table. So we've got the Hermit with the Nine of Pentacles. Obviously, the Nine of Pentacles is quite a lot of money. So there's a lot of money here linked into the fire. The fire is, I'm hearing, worth a lot of money. It's taken a lot of money, but it's also worth a lot of money with regards to rebuilding of the land, new contracts, new buildings. I did see Gavin Newsom's sort of springy, jaunty, quite happy body language talking about the creation of LA2. Which is worrisome, certainly didn't look like a guy in trauma. We've got the Two of Swords on the bottom of the deck with the Seven of Swords and the card of Judgment, the card of Death. Let's just keep going. The Wheel of Fortune, and then thank God we end on the Six of Wands. Then I'll keep going, guys. Then we have the Chariot. I'll tell you what all this means in a minute. Then we have the Three of Wands. Right, that's the end of it. Okay, so what we've got here. So we're at a choice point time. It's a choice point. It's a crossroads moment. What do we do with this? That phrase that you keep hearing, build back better. Well, they might have a theory on what they think that means, whoever they are, okay? We have a vision in terms of what build back better means, okay? Whether it's Gavin Newsom or anybody else, whatever political party. I'm not making a political statement here. But there is trickery afoot, because what the people would like to see built back, and number one should be not just obviously their own needs being met, but the needs being met of Mother Earth. This is critical that we learn this lesson, that she needs looking after. And I'm afraid that comes down to the nitty-gritty of, are people prepared to pay extra taxes, for example, to have the land cut, to have the streets swept, to have the public utilities maintained? And that's not just a statement with regards to what's going on in USA, it's true anywhere. We often will demand that we want, better public services or better this, better that. But where is the money coming from that is going to deliver that? So coming together should also imply those with the ability to pay a little bit more. But equally, everybody contributes something. So if you can't contribute anything financially because you're not in a position to, well, maybe you can, I don't know, cut down some trees that are overhanging, or, as I say, clean the street, sweep the street. So it's this pride in the land upon which we live. I feel this is one of the lessons that we need to learn. And there is a judgment call on that. There is a judgment call on that. Because without it, we're just going into the energy of more death and destruction. If we don't learn the lessons of better governance, better looking after the land, working on ourselves. Remember what I was saying about the elements within. We're just going to have fated moments of the wheel coming back around. But I do feel as though longer term, we're looking at a much more positive scenario, because we end on the Six of Wands, which is the card of victory. Look at these beautiful cards. The Six of Wands, victory, next to the Chariot, which really just emphasizes that victory. And it's like, yes, we're going to get going. And what are we getting going on? We're getting going on a new, brand new vision for the way that we want to see the earth. You know, this person here is looking out over well, actually, what looks like a pretty desolate landscape. There's not a lot there. But overhead is the eagle. And yeah, that is the sign, obviously, of America. So, you know, I've said about Japan before, with regards to the disasters that they've had there, you know, the terrible tsunami that they had that took so many thousands of lives, the earthquakes that they've had, the Fukushima disaster, nuclear disaster. The Japanese have this way of just coming together and rebuilding very quickly with real resilience, but more than anything with a sense of pride and community. It's as though they want to get their towns back on the feet as quickly as they can, but they come together, very, very efficient. And I've said for a while we have a lot to learn from the Japanese, but I like to think as well that with the American response to this can be as equally impressive. But you know, USA is going through its Pluto return. It's still wading through the lessons of that, what's coming up. It's a very, very difficult time for you in USA at the moment. So, you know, you're wading through treacle, trying to get to this rebirth energy, but just keep going is what I would say to you. But I'm feeling eventually USA comes more back into the fore with regards to showing and emulating something for the rest of the world, really, because I don't feel as though that's been there that recently, and that's not a political statement. It's just all countries go through times where they're on the rise and times where they're in decline. But then also they rise again. You know, it's like the roller coaster. 1 minute you're top dog, and then you're not, and then you come back. And all countries, particularly you know, the larger countries, go through these times. So at the moment, USA is in a dip, but it's going to rise again. I'm hearing though it's a longer time than just, you know, 4 years. I'm feeling 8 years plus is what I'm feeling, of getting the country back on its feet again. And ultimately, you know, what I believe is we need to get to a place of round table. And I've said this constantly over the last couple of years, which is being able to drop that whole divide of left and right, Republican and Democrat, get into a place where and I think Mother Earth is the teacher here. And I think she's going to force you to learn the lesson, not just in USA, but in other countries, which is, we've got a mess here. This is a bloody mess. This is a disaster zone. We need all hands on deck. And then you're going to start to realise that the best hands, the most helpful hands, they're not all blue. They're not all red. They're not all this. They're not all that. They're a mixture of all faiths, all religions, all political, you know, allegiances, people coming together for the sake of humanity, basically, and their country and their town. And I think that's where we're at. Okay, so it's just Bella having a little say. Let's let her have a little say, because the animals need to have their say in all this. Thank you, Bella, for reminding me. You know, as towns are being rebuilt, the importance of the animals, sanctuaries for animals, vegetation for animals, space for animals. Human beings are not the most important thing on the planet, even though we think we are. Okay, the animals are just as important. That card we started with about synergy, there has to be synergy. Man cannot see himself as the most important thing on this planet. We have to get to a place where we start to understand the delicate balance that this card talks about, the delicate balance that keeps things as hospitable as possible for all beings on Gaia. Let's go to the energy of Earth now. We've got the Earth element, ground. Earth element, ground. Archangel Metatron, Mother Earth. Mother Earth, the Earth element. Oh, she's so tired. I just feel this energy of such tiredness and weariness. I'm obviously going to USA here in the fires. Weariness, tiredness. Someone's just coming in the door.
Sorry, is this going back to Peter Piper? There's a delivery man there.
I don't know, to be honest.
Well, he said it's Peter Piper reference.
Okay, yeah.
Just give it to him.
Yeah, I guess so. Thank you. That's really interesting, isn't it? That John just walked in at that moment with that reference. Peter Piper. It's actually, believe it or not, some journals that we've ordered for our shop that come from a company called Peter Piper. But I just need to look up the reference of Peter Piper because, you know, there's no such thing as coincidence in my videos. I'm going to carry on letting Bella bark. Peter Piper. I mean, not turn the video off. Not that I ever stop her from... What is Peter Piper? What does that mean? Okay, Peter Piper is an English language nursery rhyme. Okay. How does the Peter Piper rhyme go? Oh, okay. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. What does this mean? Maybe it doesn't mean anything. I feel it does, though. I think it's to do with the fact that as a collective, we are getting ourselves into a complete sense of total confusion, befuddlement, smoke and mirrors, as I keep saying, bluff and double bluff. No one knows what the hell's going on. Everyone thinks they know, but really, again, needing to come together because Peter Piper is this. So Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? I think I've said it wrong. It's a tongue twister. So that's the whole thing about it. It's a tongue twister. Right, so make of that what you will. I just think it's confirmation that we're in a hell of a mess here and we need to come together. And our speech needs to be clear. We need to be, not the resounding, not the clanging gong. We need to be able to voice with clarity and with compassion our truth, but also remain open to other people's truths. Okay, let's see what Mother Earth's truth is. What does Mother Earth wish to say? So, yeah, she's feeling fed up, to be honest, fed up. Yeah, I mean, there's an energy here of feeling discouraged and abandoned is the word I'm hearing, abandoned. Now, this is not the energy of a victim because Mother Earth is never a victim. She's putting up with it. She's putting up with us. But there comes a point where she's going to say, you know, I've had enough. But at the moment, there's just this energy of deflation and it's a low energy. It's a low energy. So what can we do to help her? Let's see. What can we do to help her? I'm going to go to a tree card now. A tree angel oracle. Let's see what guidance the trees can give to help our earth at this time, to help our mother at this time. I've heard it said before that our relationship with the earth, Mother Earth, often can correlate with our relationship we have with our own mother. And so think about that. If there's a sense of abandonment, if there's a sense of frustration, if there's a sense of anger, if there's a sense of sadness, if there's a sense of whatever it is, I've often wondered about that myself. So again, healing that aspect as much as we can. Healing the relationship we have with our own mother helps us heal our relationship with Mother Earth. Okay, which tree wants to come and speak today to us? I'm being shown, I don't know, was it one of the Disney films where all the trees move and they all are personified? I'm seeing that in my mind's eye. We've got the pear tree. Okay, well, this is going to get people triggered who don't like images of people with horns on top of their heads. Because we've got the pear tree and there he sits with his horns. Okay, let's see what he has to say. Interestingly, card number 31 as a colour energy in colour mirrors is the Hermit card, and we've already been talking about the need for Hermit energy. Okay, pear. The fruits of the wild pear are small, tart and very dry. So what's pear got to do with anything? Okay, pear represents the Venus principle and its positive aspects in particular. It provides a sense of proportion, harmony and balance, aesthetics, art and good taste. It's a good omen for partnerships and relationships in general, since its qualities enhance understanding, empathy, tenderness, coming together, unity, as well as constancy, beauty and delight. Spiritually, pear connects us with forgiveness. So the pear tree is about coming together, it's about unity, it's about forgiveness, the energy of forgiveness. The danger that goes hand in hand with the energy of Venus, however, is that we want more. It's never enough. We try to cling to moments that have passed, attempting to prolong the pleasure to the end. So the Angel of Pear also has a test for us. We must recognise that it's not just about superficial pleasure, but rather about giving others and ourselves lasting joy. Without the sweet blessings of the pear angel, life is dry and lonely, and our despairing search for happiness brings only excess, coarseness and tastelessness. I'm sorry guys, but for me those three words, excess, coarseness and tastelessness, could pretty much sum up Hollywood from where I'm sitting. You know, what is produced out of Hollywood these days usually is about excess, coarseness and tastelessness. And it leaves us as a collective feeling dry and lonely and desperately searching for happiness. So the pear tree coming forward to remind us of the importance of coming together and the importance of beauty. And also not clinging on to anything. This is all very interesting because, okay, obviously if you've lost your home, it's gone. You can't hang on to the past, can you? You can't hang on to the past. So again, another lesson I feel that's coming out of this, not just for you that's going through it, but for us that's witnessing it, is because, you know, we look at it with horror. Oh my God, what if that was my house? What if that was my business? I said to my own girls, I said, it's literally like, imagine that, you know, our town has burnt to the ground and the next two towns have burnt to the ground and there is nothing left. There is no shops, there's nothing, you know, your home's gone. When in that scenario, you can't cling to anything because it's all gone. You can't live in the past. So there's something here about living in the present. And I tell you what, this isn't a random little detour. It's actually relevant to what I'm saying here. I truly felt, I've just been to London for 3 days, and you know, I'll say more about that another time, because I want to bring forward some work about what I'm feeling about the capital cities in our countries, because the energy is definitely off, and it's linked into the power centers and the masculine and the feminine and all of that. But anyway, the point is, I love London. I always will love London. But equally, there's part of me which is like, am I just I'm revisiting a past energy that's no longer there. And this isn't just to do with the London of old, it's to do with my past. And then it's like, are you actually looking back with rosy-coloured spectacles anyway on the past? The past is gone. And it really came to me that I need to be, for example, going back to London next time, just with forget about what happened in the past, you know, which I think it was good, but let the past go, really. See London through new eyes. See London through the eyes that you have now at 57 years old, not at 20. You know, it's like, and I think that's part of this as well. This, again, one of the lessons, the past is gone. We have no choice but to live in the present moment. So again, that's also what's being taught here. Okay, nearly done, I think, guys. I wanted to, let's just see if the other elements have got anything to say. And I also want to end with a Christ consciousness card. So let's go to the energy of air. So yeah, I know you have the Santa, whatever they're called, Santa Mar winds, or all, but they seem to be very ferocious, worse than normal is what people are saying. So let's just say what the air element has to say. Again, linking into these fires. So the air that was also whipping up, the fire might still be taking it wherever. Let's see what the air element has to say. Out of control is what I'm hearing. Out of control, angry, wild, again, manipulated, the air element being angry. But this is also about what's being done up here in the skies, okay? What's being done in the skies, most of you know what I'm talking about. You know, that we can see with our actual eyes, but many people are still denying, don't want to go there. So this is weather manipulation. This is playing with Mother Nature, playing with the energy of air. And air will always have the last laugh, is what I'm feeling. Again, it's like this, the air energy that I'm picking up here, which is the wind that carried the I wanted to say waves, but I'm talking about fire. But again, water and the flooding and fire. Anyway, the wind that was carrying these particular fires, again, it's like a malicious energy. It's angry. It's obviously not friendly. I'm seeing like this big mouth in the sky. I'm not sure whose mouth it is, but it's like a big like release and exhale of breath, but it's angry breath. I'm tempted to say it feels like God. Now, I don't believe in the God of the Old Testament of hell and damnation, okay? But there is something here about the Godhead, Spirit, Great Spirit, that is so frustrated with us as a species. How many thousands of years have we had to get this right? And we're still wading around in all of the crap, you know, the hatred, the anger, the war, the fighting, the bitterness, the jealousy. Oh, if you were God, would you be upset? I think I would be. I don't feel that the breath is there to destroy. It's more just to wake people up. I don't feel it's like revenge. I don't feel like it's a God that's about revenge or anything like that. It's more, put it this way, the energy of God here feels as though sometimes maybe God can forget his power. And so for God just to give a, God, I'm fed up with humanity, maybe not understanding or remembering When was the last time she did that? Okay. Doesn't do it that often is what I'm hearing. But when she does that, it moves mountains. It creates havoc. But I feel as though this Godhead energy has been holding it in for so long. Patience, patience, infinite patience with what I have created. But oh God, look at what I have created. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're behaving. And this is collective, okay? This isn't the little old man who's lost his home, who's been building it up for 40 years, who doesn't deserve this. No, he's caught in the... We're all caught, actually, in the entrails of the old paradigm releasing its grip, but not wanting to. We're all getting this whiplash, basically, from the darkness that is being exposed and is being transmuted and removed, and the anguish and the terror of those that don't want to relinquish control. So it's not a case of punishing those who don't deserve the punishment. It's just that some people have put themselves in the firing line, playing with fire, as I said earlier. But definitely the air element being angry. So what can we do to help that? Other than, yes, working with our own breath. It sounds so small, but it's not, because breath is life, is it not? When you stop breathing, you're dead. So breath is life. So when I have a breath in my body, what am I going to do with it? How am I going to harness my energy today? The breath that gives me life, what am I going to do with that life? Am I going to take steps towards peace and mending bridges? We've got the lunar eclipse, adapt, completion and reveal. When is the lunar eclipse? When is the lunar eclipse? Let me have a look in my diary to tell you. Total lunar eclipse is going to be happening on the 14th of March. The moon is close to the south node in Virgo, the sun opposite Pisces in conjunction with Saturn, the north node and Neptune. Well, I don't know why I'm picking up the lunar eclipse. Why was I even mentioning that? Oh yeah, it was like, what can we do about this air imbalance? Well, it feels as though there's work to be done on the lunar eclipse. Tracy and I are creating a moon spray. This is what it's going to look like. This is the bottle, isn't it beautiful? Silver and blue. It'll be out by the 14th of March. There's obviously something to work with this. Those of you that follow me on my channel, I'll make a note of this, that we need to come back on the lunar eclipse and work with the air elemental. I don't know what I'm meant to do at the moment. It's not being given to me, but hopefully it will by then. We've got the card of reflective truth. More truths may be coming to light by the lunar eclipse, or the lunar eclipse revealing further truths. And then what do we do with it? Do we keep fighting and arguing over what that truth might be, whether we agree with it or not, or can we come together? All of that. Okay. You see, the other thing about that Peter Piper thing and confusion is, all the fog energy as well. Because air is linked into the mind. We're confused. We don't know what to do. There's clarity going to be coming in. At the moment, it's like we don't quite know how to deal with these huge issues in our midst. But I feel as though lunar eclipse is going to gift us something. This person on this card has been gifted something. Okay. We haven't had a look at water, so let's have a look at the water element, which is flow. Water element, flow. Okay, I'm getting the energy here of this water element linked into LA and the fires, feeling quite what's the word? I'm really sensing, okay, it's like the energy of a child who has a particular skill and a particular talent, and it hasn't been brought into being to be used. Overlooked. Overlooked is the word I'm searching for. It's an energy of being overlooked. My power as water, my ability to transmute flames, my ability to bring fertility and to ease parched land, prevent rather than cure, having been dismissed, unimportant, forgotten, not needed. Why? When life is water is what life is all about. It's like forgotten how important water is. It's quite an indignant energy. It's sort of like, why was I forgotten? Why was I relegated? Why were my reservoirs not full? Why was I not utilised? Why was I not there? Why was I not invited to the party? Obviously it wasn't a party, it was more like a funeral. But you get what I'm trying to say. I could have put out these flames quicker with more of me. I could have made the trees and bushes wetter and damper, and to have more water quotient within them so they wouldn't catch fire as easily. I did want to say something about that. I know some people are saying, well, how come all the houses are burning down but the trees are still standing? This was just one person's truth that I read. Whether they're right or not, I don't know, but I thought it was worth considering because it spoke to me. And they were talking about, fire. And answering that question about why are some trees still standing. He says, a wildfire burns fast, exhausts the readily consumable fuel and moves on. Trees have a root system that is tapped into the water supply below ground and use it to prevent the tree from burning. Leaves are more susceptible than the tree due to moisture-rich bark. But if the fire is moving fast enough, they do not reach combustion point. They are also receiving moisture from the tree. So there's this thing about the root system of trees, obviously holding water. Some types of tree, not all types of tree, actually being planted in areas of high fire risk because they know that they don't catch fire as quickly. But it's this thing about if something is holding enough water, it's obviously not as flammable. So there's this thing coming up here with the water element, which is prevention. Why was I not used as prevention, rather than just cure? Why was the ground not already wetted, for example? So lessons need to be learnt from that. And again, for us, what can we do? Water conservation, I probably need to work on that myself because I'm a water baby. I love water. I love my baths. But, equally, in a world of dwindling supply, maybe, need to look at that. But it's also about appreciating the water, isn't it? Dr. Emoto's work, putting qualities into the water. Okay. I'm going to end with a Christ Consciousness card. We could just carry on and on and on, but I feel for today it's sort of where I want to get to. So let's go to one of the Christ cards and see what wants to come through. So, asking you, Jesus, for some guidance for the people having faced the devastation or still facing the devastation of the fires. What message is there, please? I felt that card probably was going to come up. Can you read what it says? What would love do? It's the heart. What would love do? In every situation, in every conversation, we've also got the card of grace that wanted to come in into being as well. We've got the card of grace. And that says blessings and goodwill. That even in the most terrible situations, there are still blessings. The dog survived, the cat survived, the house survived sometimes. You know, we survived with our lives. There are blessings. But the energy of what would love do? To every conversation you hear, to everything that you're triggered by, to every challenge that besets us, to every corrupt government official that might come onto our television screens, to the neighbour that needs your help, to the town that needs your commitment maybe. What would love do? Back to where we started. Let's stay in our hearts. Our hearts have the wisdom to guide us. And the energy of the heart, of course, you know, this card shows an overflowing heart, water overflowing. That there is always enough. You see, I think this is a deeper teaching to come. It's something linked into, we know we're moving into a time in our world where there's more water scarcity. But yeah, I'm shown here the energy of the miracle of the fish and loaves, that from very little, a lot can come, a lot can be manifested. And that includes water when it's most needed. So imagining the reservoirs full. It's that thing about Field of Dreams. Imagine it and they will come. You've got to think it first. The power of our thoughts, going away from this totally confused, muddled, I don't know what to believe anymore energy. Just keep focused on love. Keep focused on manifesting the world we want to see. Yes, during the hardest, most difficult times, because that also was the lesson of the rune, was it not? Take great care, everybody. Lots of love to all of you. And I'll see you all again soon. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it if you just like it. All my work is free on YouTube. You don't have, it's not hidden behind a paywall or anything like that. But just from time to time, if you could just like a video, it means that it boosts the algorithm. More people get to see it. And there's lots of people out there that are struggling and are just stuck in the polarization, separation, division, argument. We have to come back to each other, and we have to keep asking, what would love do? Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Bye.